as you can see, we've got a couple story problems here in 1-9. We'll take a look at question 19, which reads, Alex scored 13 points in the basketball game. This was 1/5 of the total points that the team scored. Write and solve an equation to determine the total points T the team scored. All right, so we were told that Alex scored 13 points. And then we were told that Alex's points, is also the same as 1/5 of the team score. All right, and I'm going to erase this here in just a moment, because then what they told us is that they want us to call the number of points that the team scored T. So in this case, this is really 1/5 of the team score, 1/5 of T. Now that actually works for us because the word of implies multiplication. So this really means 1/5 times T. And I'm going to use the dot to represent multiplying. We don't actually have to write anything at all, but since I've got that big gap there, I want it to make sense. Now, we're writing an equation. Realize that both of these represent the same thing. They represent how many points Alex scored. So since they're the same thing, I'm going to set them to equal to each other. That's how we get an equation out of this. 1/5 T equals 13. Now, remember those rules that you just saw on the screen and read a minute ago. All right? There's a reason I wrote the 1/5 T first, even though it's the second thing that's here. It's because, remember, I want to have the variable on the left side of the equal sign. But if I write that second, it's going to be on the right side of the equal sign. I'm going to have to do more work, because then I'm going to have to use that flip rule to end up with the 15 on the left, which I did by writing it first anyway. Okay, so rules. Variables on the left, got it, and numbers on the right, got it. So the one thing I don't have is the 5th. I'm going to have to look at moving the 5th out of the way now. All right, well, remember, do the opposite when you want to move something to the opposite side of the equal sign. This is a number. It's going to the other side of the equal sign from left to right. So here, I'm going to divide by 1/5. Now, I'm going to end up erasing this in a second, and I'll explain why. It's because we're dividing by a fraction. We've never divided by a fraction. Think about when we do fraction divided by a fraction. What do? Well, we always flip that second fraction around, which is called the reciprocal, and change the problem to multiplication. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm dividing by 1/5, but we don't do that. We actually multiply by the flipped form of the fraction, which is 5/1. So I'm going to get rid of that, and what I'm going to actually do is multiply by 5/1. And again, I can show you the mathematical logic behind this, is because on the left side, 5/1 times 1/5 becomes 5/5 or 1, which is what's happened in all the multiplication or division problems that we've dealt with. So that's just going to end up, when it's all said and done, leaving me this guy, T, on the left side of the equal sign. Over here, I've got 13 times 5, which isn't too tough. 13 times 5 is 65. So the team scored 65 points. Alex scored 1/5 of those points, which is equivalent to 13. And again, I can check it. If I do 1/5 times the 65, we figured we do indeed end up with 13.